Welcome back to the show. Joining us now is friend of the show, Super Bowl champion, part owner of the Royals, and investor in Throne Sport Coffee, which we got a shipment of today. It's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick, I want to ask you about Throne Coffee, which I will be taste testing live on air while Patrick describes his investment. Go ahead, Patrick. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, it's called Throne Sport Coffee. It's actually, I'm a coffee drinker myself, and a guy named Michael Fideli came to me and had the idea of having a healthier, ready-to-drink coffee, and we were able to I was actually taste testing it for a year and a half ago now, and we came up with a great product that has either 1 or 8 grams of sugar, depending on the flavor, and amino acids, vitamin B, and 150 milligrams of natural caffeine. So something that I drink on a daily basis now, I can have a healthy version of it.
It's now the official coffee of First Things First.
Absolutely. And I got to listen, this isn't for you, Pat, but it goes great with a nicotine patch. I'm wired right now. All right, listen. I really wanted to talk to you about the Royals and the Mavs. They said I have to ask a football question, so I'll ask a couple. So I asked people on Twitter if they could guess your favorite play of your career. Super Bowls don't count. Is there one play that stands out to you as like the coolest or your favorite moment?
Yeah, I always say the 4th and 7 versus the Ravens in my first year starting. I think it was 2018. I was scrambling over to the right. Oh, y'all got it. I was scrambling over to the right, and I just threw it back to the middle of the field. I barely saw Tyreek, and then he comes back to the ball, makes that catch, and that was kind of that first year when I'm trying to prove myself, and to have that play in that moment was definitely a big one. And obviously you can see it was definitely not how the play was supposed to go, but we go on to win the game, and I think that kind of jump-started my career.
Yeah, and it ended up being a huge one of the reasons that the Chiefs had the home field advantage through the AFC playoffs that year. Is there a quarterback who's the quarterback you watch that you enjoy watching the most? Like the guy when you're able to, you guys barely play on Sundays anymore, so when you're able to sit down on Sundays and watch, who's the quarterback you enjoy watching the most?
There's a couple. I like watching Josh a lot. We play a lot of similar opponents. He plays a similar style of football that I do. So I always watch what the Bills do and try to take from things that he does. I like watching C.J. Stroud a lot now, man. He's been out there and he's making plays happen. And then I would say probably Joe. Just guys, we play the same teams, and so watching him play definitely gives me some ideas of what we can do as an offense. But the thing about the NFL now, man, there's a lot of great quarterbacks, and so I'm kind of the old guy now, and I have to kind of hold that title as the old guy. But I try to continue to do whatever I can to be the best that I can be.
All right, so I told you this a couple years ago. Once upon a time, I was, probably Kansas City's favorite son. You took it from me. Then, once upon a time, I was one of the only national folks that was, into the Dallas Mavericks. And Luka, you took that from me as well. So congrats on that. But do you right now, Wildes won't give an NBA Finals pick. Okay. I assume you will. Do you think your Mavs and Luka can finish it off, and how do you see this playing out?
It's going to be a great series, this series right here, because Anthony Edwards has been dominant. That team is a great team, played great defense, and it's going to be a hard series. But I think the Mavs have what it takes. Kyrie's been playing great ball. Derrick Jones Jr. has been playing great defense. P.J. Washington playing defense and offense. They did a lot of great things at the trade deadline. I remember seeing it. I went to a Nuggets game. They played the Nuggets early after the trade deadline, and you could see the athleticism that they had kind of brought in. And I think if Luka plays the way that Luka can play and Kyrie plays like Kyrie, they got as good a chance of anybody of winning it all.
Patrick, we had, speaking of basketball, we had your dad, Patrick Sr., on my radio show, The Odd Couple, and he told us your best sport was probably basketball in high school. We know you played all 3 sports. He said your best was probably basketball. First of all, is that true, number one? And secondly, there's been this whole debate about could NFL players play in the NBA and vice versa. If you stopped playing football and gave yourself a year to get ready, do you think you could play in the NBA?
No, I don't think I could play in the NBA now. I think if I tried to continue to play basketball when I was young, this is my sophomore year of high school right here. I was this tall when I was in 8th grade, so I thought I was gonna be a basketball player. Y'all see my brother. My brother's 6'6". I'm the smallest one in my family, so I played point guard. I could shoot. I could pass. And so my dad was a really good basketball player. I thought that was going to be my dream. But once I stopped growing, I knew I had to probably focus on baseball or football, and I ended up choosing football in the end, and it worked out pretty all right.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so is there a comp to what your game was like? Like in the NBA now, current player or former player, who was your game like when you were at your best in basketball?
I would say, my favorite player growing up was Carmelo. So I used to shoot mid ranges and pass and do stuff like that. But now I feel like I play a lot similar to Luka, man. I'm not as skilled offensively as he is, and all the stuff he can do. But as far as being able to pass the ball, be able to score, kind of using my size. That's how I was in high school. Obviously, I don't know if you can use your size like I used to do in high school at 6'3". So that's why I'm playing football now.
Just to get back to football and some unfinished business that we have and promises that you made on this show, Patrick, felt like this season trust was one of the fundamental characteristics of the Super Bowl winning team, right? The drop rate was high for the wide receivers, but you always had trust in them. They always had trust in you. Maybe you didn't have to take so many risks on a third down or whatever because you knew you trusted the defense and you'd get the ball back. Well, last time you were on the show, I said, hey, Patrick, is the behind-the-back pass on the horizon? And I trusted you because you said, yeah, don't give up on it. And it's been 21 games, and we still haven't seen it. So is that something that we're just untrustful, or did you lie to me, or what happened there?
I think it was we didn't play as well offensively enough for me to pull the behind-the-back pass off this last year, but it's no one else's fault than myself because Coach Reed wants me to throw it behind the back more than anyone in the world, and so he deliberately puts in plays that I have the opportunity to throw the ball behind the back. So it's not a coaching thing. It's me not having that confidence to do it in the game, but one of these games, man, we got to do it right now. There's been too much hype on it. We got to do it, and hopefully it's to Travis because I feel like he's the best at judging that behind-the-back pass.
Love it. All right, this year it will happen. All right, great answer. Stick around right now because you're in luck. You get to be part of the best segment in all of sports.
What a thrill.
It's NBA Tiers. So here's what happened. Last night, a secretive committee of savants, analysts, and fans who are demanding we put more Royals highlights into the show, even though I put in 3 this week. Fought and toiled and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment in all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege. It's a special Mahomes edition of NBA Tiers.
Indeed it is, Patrick. There's only 4 teams left, so it'll be quick tiers, and they have a football slant to them. So, bottom of the tiers, the 2019 Titans tier. That's the Indiana Pacers. So, hell of an accomplishment. You surprised people. You made a Final Four. You're a little over-reliant on one player, whether it's Halliburton or Derrick Henry. Some defensive weaknesses might be exploited in the conference championship round, but it's a great season either way. Next tier, the 2022 Eagles tier. Best record in their sport for the Celtics, but in an inferior conference. There were some questions. They glide all the way to the championship game, but questions about the opponents along the way, the Giants, and then an injured Brock Purdy, of course, for the Eagles. For the Celtics, some injuries on their own. And then they get cracked in, of course, that championship round, which brings us to the Timberwolves, which are the 2020 Buffalo Bills tier. An ascent out of nowhere. New potential face of the league, we heard. And Josh Allen. Their major trade pays dividends for them. Rudy Gobert, Stephon Diggs. And we assume what will be one of the first of many Final Fours. For the Bills, that is yet to occur, but we thought it would at the time. For the Timberwolves, we'll see. And then atop the tiers, Patrick, the 2023 Chiefs team, a team that once upon a time was all offense, all of a sudden starts leaning on its defense. It's a middling regular season. People aren't sure if they can really believe, but massive contributions by young players and an ascendant superstar who doesn't mind a post-game beer or maybe a post-game hookah, depending on who we're talking about, and sporting the dad bod is almost taunting the opponent. They're atop the tiers. That is the latest edition of Nick's Tiers. Patrick, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, you're surprising me, so I'm just going to give my instant reaction thoughts here. I would change the 2023 Chiefs to the 2019 Chiefs. If you remember, that defense kind of came on at the end of the season. It made a lot of timely stops in timely fashions, and that's what kind of got us over the edge. and I was still young, hadn't won my first championship yet, and that could be Luka. So I think the 2019 Chiefs would be better than the 2023 Chiefs.
You know what? I got to say, for the first time in the history, you're right. I mean, the tiers were wrong. I mean, the tiers were usually, I tell you why they're right. But you know what? You're right. That would have been a better example. It just flatly would have been better. I should have done it. Yeah, that's correct.
Patrick, as much as I respect your fandom of the Mavericks, you grew up down there, I am moving the Timberwolves to the top. And I sensed a tad bit of trepidation in your voice when you were talking earlier about this matchup. Anthony Edwards has to scare you a little bit, so I'm picking him to lead the Timberwolves to the championship this year.
That's great.
No, I would say there's no doubt that Anthony Edwards does scare me. It does scare me a lot, as well as that team. But like you said, though, man, I think Luka getting a few days off, getting a little healthier, and being more like the Luka we saw in the playoffs in the past, I think that can get us over the top. As a Mavs fan, I am.
Loan out Rick and the training staff that got your ankle right to work on Luka's knee. Hoist that Larry O'Brien. It's all we need. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Patrick, quickly, can you give us a prediction for tonight, Game 1, Wolves-Mavs?
Oh, we'll lose tonight, for sure. That's just how the Mavs do. I've told everybody in the locker room that we will lose tonight. But when I come back after Memorial Day, the Mavs will be up 2-1, and then we can talk about a series.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
More first
Appreciate
things
y'all.
first after the break. That was great.
That was great. He's awesome. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.